Hello, everybody. So I'm back. I think this is part 3 of the Chris Hansen interviewing someone who I will refer to as Mr. R. We all know who he is. Just to reiterate for anybody that's not seen the previous 2 parts, just to try and navigate YouTube's harassment and bullying guidelines. I'm just going to refer to him as Mr. R, which is why the video's titled as it is. That way, I can carry on doing these videos, hopefully. So anyway, it was quite an interesting an insight. We've got a teacher who has already admitted he's had these kind of urges for a while. He's been quite frank with what he's been saying so far. He's had like a full admission to Chris Hansen. But anyway, it's funny. There's different ways of looking at it. I always try, rightly or wrongly, to try and understand people. I always try and give people the benefit of the doubt. But there doesn't... From one perspective, when you're more of an educated man and you're more intelligent, you've got a better background, it kind of makes it a worse crime, doesn't it? Because he understands fully what he's doing. To put himself in that position where he's got access to these children at his work, and yet he's still got the audacity to turn up at a house. What does that say? I always try and avoid and just to say, oh, you're a monster and all that. Obviously, in some situations you can't help. It's part of human nature. I always try to understand where it comes from. Why have they decided to turn bad? And I've noticed in the comments of some of the other videos, I think people have just let rip, and I didn't realise how much he's disliked. I mean, I don't mean, obviously, how can you not be disliked when you turn up to do what he was trying to do? But I didn't realise people had such strong opinions about him. But I think with any teacher, quite rightly, to be put in that position, especially if you're a parent as well. So I do understand it.
It was stupid. I wasn't really going to do anything.
I know, but that's hard to square with what you said here, Jim.
I really know.
And everybody who comes in says, I really wasn't going to do anything. And if you're going to have this conversation and then come over here and a 13-year-old girl is home alone.
I shouldn't have done it. I don't know what I'm here for.
The other issue, well, it sounds like what you're here for is to have sex with a 13-year-old girl.
I was going to have sex with her. Look, give me a Bible. I swear to God.
A lot of people have had religious conversions.
Oh dear. Well, so he's admitted. This is what I don't quite understand. I mean, I suppose he's kind of trying to dig himself out of the hole now, but he's already admitted. He said earlier in the interview, everybody knows what I'm here for. And now he's saying he'll swear on the Bible. Very odd.
After walking in here.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm not that religious of a guy.
So, right, you're not that religious of a guy, so why are you swearing on the Bible that you're telling the truth? So what you're saying is, you're not that religious, so swearing on the Bible doesn't mean that much to you. So you kind of just discredited yourself there.
And the other,
I'll tell you this: I might have kissed her. I wouldn't have done anything else.
You might have kissed her.
Might have. I know I shouldn't.
And
you see, that's a very underhanded way of trying to. It's pretty clever what he said there. He's trying to give Chris a little bit of the carrot and say, yeah, I would have done this, but not gone as far as that. So it's kind of like he's saying, okay, I'll hold my hands up and say I would have done something that was really wrong. Look at me admitting what I've done, but I wouldn't go that far. So if I give you a little bit of a confession, Maybe you'll believe me because I'm brave enough to admit that I've done that I would do something really wrong. We all know that's bullshit. That's a really sneaky way of saying it. I think I would. Let me tell you, I would have kissed her, but I wouldn't do anything else. We know that's bullshit, don't we?
Where's that going to lead once you start kissing her?
I wouldn't have let it. I'm honest with you right now. I know nobody watching's going to believe. I wouldn't have done anything else. She is a kid. I knew that when I was coming up here. I wasn't going to do anything. I'm an adult.
You're a teacher.
Yeah, I know.
That's a position of trust and leadership in the community. You know how kids think.
Get out of this
you
one.
know it's a very emotionally charged time for them.
I'm not a teacher anymore.
I mean, you're equipped to take advantage of somebody that age should you choose to do so. And by coming here today, it certainly appears as though that's exactly what you were trying to do. Divorce or not, computer problem or not. The experts tell us that, okay, the guy may say, I'm not going to do it this time. Maybe not the next time. But sometime it's going to happen.
You're right. Can I talk to you off camera?
I can't do that. I'm sorry. What's the...
So, as Chris was laying it all down, then he kind of didn't offer any defence, did he? Put his head down, and rightly so, because what possible defence can you come up with? I don't think it's him. I don't think it's his good nature coming to the surface. I think it's just a case of he's intelligent enough to know that any kind of defence that he would come up with when he's just been told, well, you're in a position of trust, you do A, B, and C, and you've done A, B, and you've done such and such, would just make him look even worse. There will be, let's hope, the small part of him that does feel shame. So that will be there somewhere as well. Maybe I'm being naive. Let's bloody hope so.
Do you guys have any help for me?
There are a number of ways to get help, and we're going to get into that in the story. We've got into it in some of the past stories.
Is there any way to keep myself off of this thing?
We've made no decisions as to who's going to be in or out of the story. We're just getting started. So I can't.
If there's some way I do start getting help, I mean, my insurance covers therapy, and that's obvious.
It's quite clever when they say that we've made no decisions on who's going to be in or out of the story. Very rarely do they ever cut anybody out completely, but it's a great way of. Chris knows that this is going to make the cut because they've caught a school teacher, and that's the kind of. It makes for entertaining viewing, doesn't it? For whatever reason you might be entertained, whether you're genuinely interested in sort of factual journalism or whether it's car crash TV, regardless, it is entertaining.
What I need for obviously more than this issue, but another number of things. Even if it was something I just don't. My life's a wreck right now.
You
On
can
top
say
of
that
this,
again.
I don't want this to ruin the rest of my life.
He keeps throwing the therapy thing around, doesn't he? It's just a way of him getting out of it. It's like, I don't want this to ruin the rest of my life. Well, you can't have any sympathy for these guys, can you? He's made this decision. He's been in a position of trust. He's done whatever he did on webcam, and he's turned up to the house. And he's fighting for his life. He knows that, you can't, what I'm trying to say is you don't have to feel sympathy, and you shouldn't at all. Definitely not. But you can understand why they come out with all kinds of crazy things. They're fighting for their life. People in this position are very rarely going to have the moral standing to hold their hands up and go, yep, do whatever you want with me. I deserve to... you do get the occasional one.
Well, I can tell you what. I can give you my card, and you can keep in touch, and we can.
Are the police here? Am I going to be taken out of here in handcuffs right now?
I mean, that's not up to me. But that's my card. I'm sorry, Shrinko. That's my card.
That's okay.
But if you want to call and stay in contact.
I mean, even if maybe there's, I don't know, a way that without telling the world that I screwed up royally, that you could maybe do hide my identity. I'll even sit down with you, and I can try to get help.
All I can tell you right now is because we're just getting started with this, and we're in the middle.
He's just desperately. I'm just getting an image in my head of like someone drowning in the sea and they're flapping their arms, just trying to grab hold of anything and, just panicking. He's just trying to find a way out of his situation, but he knows deep down it's too late for that.
I mean, all I'm saying is that you can call me. I'll be happy to talk to you as we continue to put the story together, and that's really all I can tell you at this point. Because I just don't know how it's all going to shape up. And I'm just being straight with you, that's all.
And it's very... You've got to admire Chris Hansen. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves as how good he was at what he did. He doesn't judge these people, does he? Which must be a ridiculously difficult thing to do. Of course, he's a human being. There are going to be things going round with him, things round in his head. But he speaks to them all with respect, doesn't he? You know what I mean? He's like, contact me, here's my card. Whether he'll get back to him or not, we don't know. But it comes across as very genuine. And there's always a part of Chris that always tries to understand. I don't think he quite gets why they do it, which is a good thing. And, you listening to this, and I don't either. But I think it's one of the reasons why we find it so interesting, isn't it? We just can't quite grasp why the fuck they would do this.
So I can't promise you one thing or another.
I promise you a lot right now.
Well, I understand
and I'm
a lot of people promise.
I know. And you know what? And the last one I saw, the guy was dumb enough that he came here. The next damn day he went and tried to do it again. I'm not that stupid. I don't know why I'm here. I need...
Has he just referenced John Kennelly? So we've seen that one, because I think that was one of the earlier ones, wasn't it? Just came to get something to eat.
No, but I you're right. I'm a teacher, and I don't do it because I'm some pervert. I love teaching. I love kids. It's the only thing I've ever loved. I don't know what the hell.
You certainly do love kids.
I don't know why I'm here. And you asked me if I coach. Yeah, I coach, and not because I was trying to find a damn date or get. It's because I like working with those people. I like teaching kids, and I don't know what I'm doing here. I know you've heard this. Hell, I've seen people sit here and say the same stuff.
But what does it say?
I was like watching. There's a great video on YouTube about the Madeleine McCann case and its statement analysis, where they go over statements that were made by Jerry and Kate McCann. Now this guy, he's just saying, he just picks apart everything that they say in interviews and just basically says it's deceptive, it's this and it's that, and this is why they're lying here. And I would imagine he'd have a field day with this. It's like, I don't know why I'm here and all this kind of stuff, and he's going into too much detail to try and justify. He's saying, I don't know why I'm here and all this, and he's going around it in a long way, trying to justify why he's doing it and trying to come across as innocent, and it all just reeks of deception and, guilt.
It doesn't say much for me, I know.
About the fact that you were suspicious. You had seen our previous stories. Probably got a chuckle out of what happened to some of these guys.
Yeah, and honestly, I sat there and watched and thought, those guys are sick. Why would you do that? And that was what, a month and a half ago? And then here I am.
But what does it say about your issue? That you would watch the program,
I don't
pass
know.
judgment on the guys in that show, and then show up here yourself.
I'm obviously a hypocrite.
Who isn't?
Sorry, Mr. Hansen. I'm sorry, all you guys. I'm sorry if this does end up on air. I'm sorry. Everybody else that sees this, don't do it. I mean, that's why I said if there's any way I can get help, if I can show you I've gotten help, if I can show you that it's helping me.
I mean, all I can tell you is that, you let me know what's going on.
I mean,
I mean, that's my number, that's my email.
I mean, how much trouble am I in if you do turn this into the police?
Well, that's not up to me. I mean,
But I mean, do you know?
but
I mean, I don't even know.
I mean, all I'm involved in is the story. So
Does anybody here know? I know you guys aren't looking
No,
at camera, but
because they're all involved in the story too. The law enforcement part is something that's separate and that I don't control.
I mean, I know I've seen some of them that I could be wrong. I watched bits and pieces of it. We talked about it, and like I said, I thought, what the hell's wrong with these people?
Did you talk about it in school?
Yeah, we talked about it with the other teachers. A lot of us had seen it. And we thought, why would you do that? We all.
So these stories have been a topic of discussion at the school where you teach.
And then here I am.
And then here you are. What are you going to say to
Lord.
those other teachers?
I don't know. I have no idea. I can't. I don't know what I'll do. I don't want you to think I'm a monster. I'm not. I'm really not. I don't think. I didn't think I was anyway. Maybe I am.
But you're here.
Oh, there's always a part of me that tries to, give these guys the benefit of the doubt, but, you're thinking, did he just watch it a month ago and maybe got a bit curious, got a bit carried away? But I don't buy it at all. Just the way he's talking, it's like, I'm not a monster, Well, no one said that word. How did that word pop into your head? No one suggested that you are. Chris is treating you with respect, but that word's popped into his head. And then he's like, I don't think I am one, but I'm here. It's quite interesting, isn't it?
Drove 2 hours to get
here.
Plenty of time to...
I was this close, honestly, to just going to the Wright Pat Air Force Museum. I was this close. I thought, what am I doing?
Well, that kind of excuse, well, not excuse, but that kind of talk about it's quite common, isn't it? A lot of people say, oh yeah, well, I nearly didn't come, I nearly turned away at the last minute and nearly walked straight past and all that kind of stuff, and it's just a very cheap way to say that it isn't something that you'd normally do, or, it's like, I never even meant to do it, that kind of thing. It's like, I nearly drove straight past. Well, you didn't, did you? You turned up and you hung about. There's no getting out of it and saying, oh, I nearly went to the Air Force Museum. Come on, man.
Am I doing this? I thought I'll go there, or I saw some tourist something on whatever state route I was on. I even thought, hell, while I'm here, I'll go to the place I bought my car here, believe it or not, and see if they've got the key they never gave me. I had so many things cross my mind that what I should be doing. And it's like I was thinking no, but I just did it anyway. I don't know why.
I mean, was it like some...
Can I drink this?
Yes, you may.
I can't. Get dry. Obviously.
You suggesting that you couldn't control yourself?
Apparently not. I don't know. And I'm not trying to make excuses. I know it sounds like that. I don't know. I mean, I've always talked to people online, and I've never done anything like this. You're right. It's like I couldn't control myself. I'm not trying to make excuses. I don't know if I've just shut down this week. I am about to go through a divorce. I know I wouldn't be here.
If it wasn't for that.
If it wasn't for that. I can honestly say that because I wouldn't have, wanted to hurt my wife and ex-wife now. And I think maybe I just said, what the hell, I've got nothing else to lose right now. And obviously, I really didn't think that one through because I'm pretty sure this is going to cost me the rest of everything I know.
But, you look like a guy who's got it together. who could go out and be social and talk to women your age.
Well, you know, as we've already discovered from To Catch a Predator, you know, it doesn't really matter if these people can meet people their own age or what standing they take in the community. It is usually about power and control, if not always. If not always. You know, this need for power and control over other people, of feeling superior in a way, that is something that I think a lot of these people get addicted to, and it becomes very alluring to them. And if they've got someone of 13, 14 years old, you kind of look at it's the more that as I'm actually talking about it, it's starting to make me feel sick, because it's like, number one, I can't really. To have power and control over another human is weakness disguised as strength. Really, if you are totally complete within yourself and you are grounded within your own being, you would have no need for any control over anybody else. You would only need control over anybody else if you feel weak and vulnerable. What you can control can't hurt you. Now, I don't mean that they think these people are going to, you know, these girls are going to do harm to them, but if you look at it on a bigger scale, like a, you know, it's like an ego thing, isn't it? Your ego, by its very nature, is in fear constantly, and it's got to protect itself. And the way that it can stay alive, the ego, is to have control over other people. If you think that you have control and power over other people, then you feel strength. But that strength is really comes from weakness, and it will eventually destroy you, which is what's happened here. And it's what happens in a lot of cases. It's like the need for ambition. There's nothing wrong with ambition. This is a bit different, but if it depends where that ambition comes from. Does that ambition come from a place of needing to be bigger, needing power over other people, needing to be liked, having to get your own back on someone who's wronged you in the past? All of those reasons come from a place of need, and they come from the ego, and they will ultimately lead to destruction, and they will cause suffering and pain. And that's what these people are doing. You know, they've gone down a dark path. Like I've said in other videos, this attraction to children that people have seems to have existed as long as human history is recorded. So it does seem to be something genetic. I think it is a lot to do with this power and control of what I'm saying. People, I think, it's like we all do it as men, right? Regardless of how potentially risky this might be for me to say. As adult males, we all see girls at, you know, that are 17, 18 years old, maybe even 16. They're just turning into adults, and you look at them and they just look like normal 23, 24-year-old women or whatever, and you feel guilty for even looking. It's like when you see your friend's daughter who's grown up, and you look at them and they're an attractive girl, but you know you shouldn't look at them that way, and you don't. And it's just about, you know, doing what's right. And even though one could say, well, there's nothing wrong with looking, well, I think there is, because you're kind of disrespecting that person, and you're disrespecting your friend if you thought about it that way. But I think some people like this, I don't think they think like that. I think, well, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to look, yeah, cute, I'll have a bit of that. And I think that's how they start. I think they'll go from that, and then they'll see other girls around about that age, 16, 17, and then they'll look at them and go, yeah, look at that. And then they'll go younger and younger, because they need that attraction, that sort of forbidden attraction, if you will. And I think that I was speaking to someone who's like a psychologist once, and they said that it's like this search. What they do is, because of access to pornography these days, they'll research, not necessarily research, but they will try and get off on the more how can I put it? The more disturbing images or whatever, or videos or whatever. So maybe they'll start off with something like rough, apparently the most popular form of pornography these days, which I find ridiculously disturbing, is that the girls that pretend they don't want it in the videos. That's the most popular form. There was a documentary on Netflix about it, and I think these people, when that no longer when they no longer get excited by that, they will find something even worse, like maybe even real sexual assaults on videos, and then further and further and darker into things that I don't even want to. I would never talk about the things that I've heard about. It's like that Ian Watkins from The Lost Prophets. When I was reading the court document, I did a video about it. When I was reading the court documents, there was things that he was doing that I didn't even know existed. In as far as it was just baffling, and there's always this thing will always fascinate me, and that's why I'm interested in true crime and the light and the dark, and why I'm interested in spirituality and things. Is what is it that makes a person bad? When does a person decide to throw away his humanity? When does a person decide that morals don't matter and that anything that they do is justified? Is it a mental illness? Is it something in the soul? I think I've got a pretty good take on it, but you watch something like this and you still can't 100% grasp it. But I don't think you're supposed to, are you? I think I've waffled on a bit there, but in light of that, I think we will leave it. God, I've got so much to get through. Just let me know, guys, if you've enjoyed it. If you have, let me know, and when I get the time, I'll certainly make some more. So I thank you very much, and I will speak to you later.